Now, just give me a little bit about your background. How old are you? How long you lived in Eagle River for? Your military service. Just give us a little background here.
Background, yes, I came to Alaska in 1983 by way of Army. I served in the United States Army. I've been an advocate for small business with NFIB for many years. So I grew up professionally hearing the concerns about the backbone of our country, our free enterprise. I went to work for Senator Dan Sullivan when he got elected. I always watched legislation that would affect small business, and I reported back to the community how their legislators voted on their behalf.
Now, with the current dynamics here in Eagle River, what issues do you have with Senator Merrick? Because I heard many of the candidates say she doesn't represent traditional conservative values. What does that mean to you?
What that means to me, yes, we do have a very conservative district. And as a Republican, the people expect their conservative values to be represented. And with Senator Merrick, they just feel their values are being disregarded.
Now, can you give me some specific situations in which you feel like whether she's voted or policy she's advocated for to where she has not exercised those conservative values?
Yes, SB 88, the defined benefit bill, that bill was passed by the Senate with no fiscal note to it. That is how much that bill will cost our state. That was like writing a blank check, and I believe that's a perfect example.
Now, with the education bill, are you also disappointed that she did not support the governor's veto of SB 140 in the education bill?
Well, SB 140 was a bill with a fiscal note of $175 million. To increase the base student allocation is one thing, but to not give parental rights and their options for charter schools or what is best for the children's, outcome. It did not have any changes to raise our grade average of our schools. So technically it didn't take care of important issues that are important to the people in the outcome of their education. Grade average.
Go by a little further. Okay, now for you, Senator Merrick, she is part of that Senate majority.
Yes.
If elected, what would you want to see done in that position? Would you caucus with the Senate majority, or would you look to caucus and create a Senate minority with members like Senator Mike Shower and Senator Shelley Hughes, who are a little bit more conservative leaning than the majority members who are Republicans, most of them?
When elected to the Senate, I would love to see the Senate Republicans come together and have a conversation how to best reorganize so that the Republican Alaskan values are most represented. As long as it's led by the Republicans and the voices and principles of the conservative values are represented, I would like to see a reorganization or at least a functional minority caucus in the Senate, which will take 5 senators to have a minority caucus.
Okay, now if elected, what issues are people here in Eagle River dealing with that you would like to address as their senator?
Number one is the economy. Families are struggling, from democracy, the way we vote, to a bloated state budget, to families struggling just trying to live paycheck to paycheck. I would like us to be more responsible in our state spending. Alaska is not broke. We have a financial management problem. With us being more responsible with the funds of our state, I believe the people will have a better, I'm just messing this up so bad.
No, you did great.
Okay. The number one issue is the economy, the inflation. Families are struggling to make ends meet. I would like to help. We can do that in many ways. Let's increase state revenues. Let's give a statutory PFD. Let's give family choice and education in how their children can excel in their education.
Okay, and my last question for you. So some of the candidates I talked to today, some said if they don't finish in the top two, they will drop out because it's important to them that Senator Merrick is not reelected because she doesn't represent traditional, conservative values. For you, one, if you don't finish in the top two, will you drop out? And number two, if you do pass on to a general election and say maybe you don't even qualify for the general election, would you support another candidate or would you support Senator Merrick?
That's a very full question. I did not make about one thing about Eagle River. Unfortunately, in the primaries, we historically have the lowest voter turnout in the state. And for that reason, this is a presidential year. I believe we're going to have a higher voter turnout than we've seen probably ever. So I will come to the table with the other candidates and pray that we will choose the strongest candidate to run against Kelly Merrick.
So it sounds like if you don't qualify for a general election, you're not going to vote for Ms. Merrick.
No, yes. I will vote. My vote will go towards the candidate that best represents Eagle River's conservative values.
One, why do you think you're the best candidate for this race? Why do you think you can beat Senator Merrick?
I have a very strong voting record. I have history of working in Juneau. I can work across the aisle without compromising our conservative values.
Okay, now for yourself, now to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, you've never been an elected representative before, so why do you feel you could fill those shoes? Because I imagine it's something to where, somebody would have to have an understanding of politics. Tell me why you feel like you could still fill that void.
Because I have the experience it takes. I have the backbone to stand up for our Constitution and against special interests. That is proven regardless of how I got to Juneau. I've served in Juneau. I know how Juneau operates, and I know, and the people know, that I will not play the go along to get along game, but represent the values of the people in our wonderful community.